What's the worst thing your parents caught you doing as a kid? I wrote bitch on my notebook in first grade with one of those giant training pencils. Forgot the T, of course. Bic is Latin for generosity. Peeing into the air vents on the floor. Oh my god, I did this. To this day, I had no idea what led me there. I'm not alone anymore. When we were about 6 years old, me and a friend were having a contest seeing who could pee the furthest out the third-story window. Some nosy lady from across the street ratted us out to his parents. I still think I won, but we didn't get a chance to check who peed the furthest. Legend. Mopping, painting the garage floor with oil and destroying a waterbed with steak knives. My brother and I were both under the age of 5 when these things happened. He's older than me by about a year and a half and made other horrendous messes before I could start participating in them, including opening all the Kool-Aid packets onto the kitchen floor and emptying an entire can of Crisco onto the bottom few steps in the house. He was bad. My younger brother is 6 years younger than me and was way worse in the mess department. He threw all my bottles of nail polish all over my room and destroyed most of my stuff so I wasn't allowed to have any more. He cut out most of our pictures from when we were kids. Remember when you could refill your own ink cartridges at home with a kit? He sprayed a whole pack of that stuff all over the living room, including the ceiling. Ruined the carpet complete. And GT, remember when you could refill your own ink cartridges at home with a kit? Can't you still do this? Probably, but I would imagine with the popularity of laser jet printers with toner cartridges that last a long time, it's not used as much as it once was. Point is, you can make a really big mess that's nearly impossible to clean up if it's just everywhere. My mom got 5-year-old me one of those giant novelty suckers that came with a pretty sturdy wooden handle. I decided to test the strength of the stick by pushing it against my bedroom wall as hard as possible. Such a strong stick. Dad walked in just as I poked a 6-inch hole in the drywall. My little sister had fallen asleep with her sucker the day before and got the thing stuck in her hair. No more giant suckers. What exactly is a sucker? People who ask. Nah, one of those big giant lollipop things, usually rainbow-colored. Parents would always catch my little sister sucking on Velcro straps on shoes, in the closet. Don't you hate when that happens? Not me, but they caught my 3-year-old sister eating chips in a small dark closet at 3 a.m. Monsieur. Did I mention she was also naked? We've all been. Yeah, certainly sounds familiar. Quietly puts on shirt. When I was about 6. I was watching an episode of Pokemon. I had to pee but didn't want to miss anything. So I peed in a trash can. I thought that was super clever at the time, but as soon as my mom got home she could smell it, and 21 years later she still remembers. You at least used a trash can. My idiot self thought pads were diapers, and obviously I thought now I can go about my day. As pee descended on it and then obviously overflowed because the pad was soaked, and I ran towards the bathroom trying to make sure I don't make a mess. And at Friends is how I found out about periods and what the pads are actually used for. My best friend's mom caught us spanking each other's bare asses. That was edit. That's funny but cool. Peeing and pooping in odd places. I pooped in my little sister's toy washing machine, and I pooped in the trunk of her toy Barbie Corvette. Also, kids, if you want to blame the dog for peeing on the carpet, you need to make sure it's like a solid puddle instead of loop-de-loops. Rookie mistake. I pissed in the closet one time and my grandpa got down, smelled it, and deduced it was in fact not animal piss, but human piss. I got in trouble. That's pretty badass though. When my sister was 3, she was caught hiding behind a trash can eating butter after we specifically told her not to. Specifically as in you mentioned she couldn't do it behind the trash can. No, we told her she can't just eat plain butter. So she hid behind a trash can so she wouldn't be caught. I bought a VHS video camera Saved up money for so long to buy it from a dirty wee second-hand shop. I came home one day to find my mum had been, and still was, recording episodes of daytime TV shite. Over my hours and hours of masturbatory action. No word spoken. Ever. You record yourself jerking off? Just curious as to why. I did. A lot. This was the early 90s. I did lots of other cool things with my camera, of course, but privately. Sheesh, I was out of control. Told my mom I was going into the woods to build a fort. I went into the woods but brought my Game Boy, which I was grounded from, and a supply of batteries. Played Pokemon out there for several hours next to a tree until my mom came out into the woods and found me. Big trouble for me. How old? That could have actually been smart, if you had just came in after a couple hours. One time my mother walked in on my girlfriend and I having sex, to tell me that my father cut his finger off, and that they were going to hospital. There was a lot to unpack in that moment. You could fill a TV miniseries with this comment. At age 5 I used my dad's shaver on my lips without shaving cream, monsieur. Don't ask why. I did the same to my chin at around that age. Was supposed to be cleaning, found my cousin's razor and figured I'd shave. Edited to fix. I can't remember how old I was, but I was playing with an arrow and I had the bright idea to walk up behind my dad while he was working on the mower and crack him in the back of his head with it. When I was about 5 probably, I decided to literally headbutt my dad. He was talking to a neighbor at the end of the driveway. So my dumbass self decided to take off at a run from by the garage door and ram my head right at his butt. I deserved that spanking. When I was a teen I would push my parents' car out of the driveway and go have fun. I always killed it and coasted back in. Did this for quite a while. One night I was at a party and let my friend drive it back. We got pulled over and they impounded the car. My dad had no car to go to work in the morning. It did not go over well. When I was 4 my parents were trying to potty train me and they made me go around the house naked from the waist down, so I had to use the toilet. I shit or hid it under the couch when my parents walked in and blamed it on the cats. An amp, #X200B, we didn't even have cats. So you made an imaginary point. Not me, but my best friend growing up. We found some porno mags in a field behind his house that he took home. When he would take a shower, he would cut out images of the girls, stick them to the inside of the shower and do the deed. Then flush the pic. Eventually he had a porno mag consisting of all men, with the women all cut out. Needless to say, his dad found him and thought he was gay for a few years before talking with him about it. OMG, thanks for the gold, kind stranger. This is hilarious. 2 memories come to mind. The first one was when I was 6 or so. I was a fairly curious child and one day I took a giant poop. After I cleaned up, I decided to get a pair of gloves and dissect my poop to see what all was in it. My mom caught me and gave me hell about it all the way through adulthood. The second was when I had my first serious boyfriend over. I was 16 and my sister was 3 or 4. Being a little kid, she always wanted to come into my room, monsieur. My curious little sister was the only reason I was allowed to close my bedroom door when he was over. My boyfriend and I decided to fool around and pushed my beanbag in front of the door to slow down any intruders. Well, I wound up on my knees with his dick in my mouth and lo and behold, here comes my mom opening the door. She couldn't get the door opened all the way, but she saw enough. The next morning when she was driving me to school, she said very awkwardly, "Honey, please don't put your beanbag in front of the door anymore." I thought that last line was going to be, "Honey, please don't put your boyfriend's dick in your mouth anymore." I have a seriously distinct memory of this despite being so young, so bear with me. I'd say I was around maybe 3 to 4 years old. Someone left a turd in the toilet and I remember thinking it looked distinctly pickle-shaped. So in my young child mind I thought, hey, a pickle, and went to grab it out of the toilet. I realized it wasn't a pickle when it squished between my fingers and my mom saw the excrement on my hands. She never brought it up to me when I was older, however. Even at 3 to 4 years old. YTF did you think it was a good idea to pick something up out of the toilet? Also, and what color was the shit anyway? Wasn't a bright kid, TBH, and it was green lol. Trying to see if my penis was long enough that I could suck it. I understand, not embarrassing, but once when I was in the shower my 4-year-old yanked the curtain open and asked me why I had hair on my penis. When I tried to tell him that I don't have a penis because I'm female, he asked me if it was my butt. Try explaining that girls don't have front butts or a penis while standing naked in the shower with the door wide open. Finally, I just told him he'd have hair on his butt one day and he cried and ran away. A couple of weeks ago my 3-year-old came into the bathroom as I was toweling off. She then went and told her mother that she saw Dad's vagina. My manager's 3-year-old told her that his 5-month-old sister needed to go back into her vagina. Sending dirty emails to a stranger I met on Omegle. I was like 12 pretending to be 16. I only got grounded for like 2 weeks.